Hi, this is Dylan Cox for SecondsOut.com here with promoter Eddie Hearn at the Haymaker Gym in London. Mikhail Kessler's just performed a workout for the media. Not long to go now to the big fight, Eddie. How's Carl shaping up and how did you think Mikhail looked today?
Yeah, at this stage it's just about going through the motions, isn't it? I mean, they've done all their workouts, their weight is good, they're ready, he looks in great shape, as you'd expect. Carl looked in great shape yesterday, as you'd expect, and the anticipation now building towards just a huge fight. And two great fighters, two great people actually as well. As much as you want to dislike Mikhail Kessler, you can't really, because he's a great guy and a great fighter, but now it's just all about the big night, and as every day ticks on, it just becomes more and more exciting.
Since Matchroom came back into the sport sort of full time, and since you're at the helm and you've had this deal with Sky, this is the first mega fight that you've put on. You've put on some big fights, Bute, Froch, but this is the first mega fight. How for you as a promoter does it feel, and how's it going to feel on Saturday when you see that stadium completely full, screaming for such a great fight?
It's great, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, I want to achieve things for myself as well, but to be honest with you, it's more about what we've done for Carl Froch. Obviously we came in at a fairly late stage in his career, but what we've done since we come in, he's taken his profile and his popularity to another level. Now a lot of that is down to how Carl Froch has performed. The Lucian Bute fight was a classic example of that, and that really took him to a new level. This fight has taken him to a whole new level, and victory on Saturday night will see him become a real icon of British sport, and that makes me more prouder than selling out the O2 Arena. I mean, listen, as a promoter, when you're standing in an arena and you see every chair taken and everyone screaming and shouting and having a great time, it makes you immensely proud. But nothing could make me more proud than seeing Carl Froch win on Saturday and getting the acclaim that he deserves. And I feel as though he's got that now, and I think that's giving him an extra spring in the step. I really do. I think from a confidence perspective and a mojo perspective, if you like, he's buzzing right now.
And it's sort of the fight sold itself. It sold out so quickly. But for Froch, I mean, this is a great fight for him because everyone knows what they can get. They're going to get a great all-action fight between two warriors. But after this fight, where can Froch go? Because it's really all roads lead to Andre Ward, and that isn't as big an event maybe as Kessler.
Well, it depends how this fight goes. I mean, if they have an all-out war and Carl Froch wins late stoppage or even on points, who's to say we wouldn't do Froch Kessler 3? I mean, you've got George Groves at the moment. It seems to be stoking the fire for a potential British domestic fight, maybe early next year or something like that. But at the same time, you have got Andre Ward, who would love to fight the winner of these because he's got nowhere to go. And of course you've got Bernard Hopkins coming out this week saying, I'd love to fight for, he's looking for a payday as well. So there's plenty of options out there, but this is one of the few times that I don't really look beyond Saturday night. My job as a promoter is to do that, but to be honest with you, this is one of the first fights that I've been involved with where I'm not really looking past Saturday night because there's too much on the line, and they're both, Carl's put himself through so much in this camp. He'll put himself through so much in the fight as well. So really, all eyes on Saturday night, and then we'll worry about the future after that.
And do you read into anything about Carl's comments about George Groves and Cleverly going over and sparring Kessler? And is it a big deal in the Matchroom camp, or is it just something that's just happened and it's not such a big deal?
No, it's not a big deal in the Matchroom camp. I mean, some people might not see it as PC, if you like, but the reason George Groves has gone to spar with Mikhail Kessler is trying to improve him as a fighter. And really, the bottom line is Adam Booth and George Groves want to improve as a fighter, so that they want top quality sparring. That opportunity came up, and they took it. So I wouldn't look too much into that. Listen, I don't think George Groves particularly likes Carl Froch. I don't think Carl Froch particularly likes George Groves. That doesn't matter. So neither of them owe each other anything. Like I said, it stokes the fire for a potential Froch Groves fight, in the future.
And just a quick word on last weekend's action, both prize fighter and in the States. First we'll start with Purdy. It was a tough fight for him, obviously, and not making the weight made it even harder for him. But how do you think he fared, and how is he now post-fight? How's he feeling, and how's the relationship with Darren, etc.?
Well, he's great. I mean, listen, Lee Purdy is a guy who had 4 amateur fights, a couple of unlicensed fights, then turned pro and really had no clue what he was doing in a boxing ring. Tony Sims has taken him from English champion, British champion and a world title challenger. He was always going to be miles out of his depth against Devon Alexander, but he's strong and he's game, as we saw, and he can punch, so he had a chance. And in Lee's position, you have to take fights like that. The problem we had was we had 4 weeks notice, or just under actually, so he had to cut a lot of weight. His weight at the time was okay to do that, but it was always going to take a lot out of him. A big problem we had was they were in Canada and then they travelled to the press conference on the Wednesday, and he missed the session because of the travel. They had some problems. So, and that all caught up with him on Friday. He had to take a bit of weight off on Friday morning, and it wasn't ideal. But 3 and a bit weeks preparation is never ideal. But Lee Purdy now looks back and says, wow, what an experience. I was at the Statue of Liberty with Showtime, getting my photo taken. I fought for a world title, life-changing money. So good luck to him, and he did okay. I mean, look, he could have got 100 rounds with Devon Alexander. He wouldn't have stopped him because, as I said before, Alexander is not a big puncher at 147, and Purdy is very strong and has a good chin. But, Lee Purdy's operated at British level, and Devon Alexander is a 2-weight world champion. So it was always going to be one-sided, and Lee didn't have enough in him to really push him back and try and force the stoppage. So, but experience-wise, it's done wonders for Lee Purdy, and he'll come back and come strong. Prize fighter, Wadi Camacho done really well. The 3 quarterfinals were terrible, like really bad to watch. I mean, these guys, they've got to put it on the line. This is their big chance, big prize money, massive exposure, and they just didn't do it. And then the 2 semis were really good, and the final was fun as well. So it was an average prize fighter. And then, Purdy was great, and obviously Matisse was really impressive, and Agogo looked very good as well, as did Haroon Khan.
Just quickly on the prize fighter, you've said there that, the quarterfinals didn't set the world on fire, but do you think now that sort of format is coming to an end? Do you think you need to do something to rejuvenate it? And secondly, just quickly before we finish, just talk a little bit about Barker's opportunity against Gil in the States as well, please.
Well, firstly on prize fighter, I think there's still a future for prize fighter. People enjoy it. It still rates well. Sometimes you never know what you're going to get. I mean, when we did the welterweights prize fighter in Wolverhampton, where Glenn Foote won, it was absolutely brilliant. And everyone said, wow, prize fighter's back, here we go again. And then you do one that's not very good, and everyone goes, oh, it's time for prize fighter to finish. I think we need to reduce the number of prize fighters. At the moment, we're doing 6 a year. I'll be looking to reduce those in the new Sky contract and add more Saturday night fight nights. I still think there's a big future for the format. Potentially growing the format internationally and reducing the number in the UK. I think that's a possibility as well. That was our 30th prize fighter, and maybe making the prize fighters bigger when they do happen. So maybe increasing the prize money, doing big heavyweight prize fighters and bringing over those star names or those freak names that everyone gets excited about. But it's played a very pivotal role to the development of boxing in this country, whether people like it or not. So there's definitely still a future, but I will be looking to probably reduce the number of prize fighters, not necessarily because I think it's tired, but because I've got so many fighters now, I need more Saturday night fight nights. So good news for the hardcore fans out there, I'm sure that'll please them. And Barker Gil, it's probably my most rewarding fight that I've ever made, because that was the fight that Darren Barker was crying out for me to make. We talked about Chavez, and he was more than up for that fight. But him and his trainer have said to me for the last few months, please get me Daniel Gil. I know I'll beat Daniel Gil. And, and to get it in America on neutral territory as well. Darren Gil's first fight in America. Darren's already boxed over there himself. So I can't see Darren Barker losing that fight, honestly. And I think he's going to put in a Froch Boutte performance and just, and destroy him. I really do. He's so up for this. And I felt for him on Saturday night with Purdy, because one, Darren knew what Lee put himself through to make the weight, and 2, Darren was taking instructions from Tony Sims back in the UK. So, he was phoning someone in the crowd who was saying, Tony says it, it was all, but really, no one wanted Lee Purdy to get hurt. He'd done in there, he'd got a job, he gave it a go, wasn't good enough, take him out. Let him fight another day. Not do another 6 rounds taking shots. We don't need that, So, but I'm so pleased for Darren, and unbelievable chance to win a world title.
And last question. Friday weigh-in. Can fans come along? Is it free? What time? Which should they be there?
It's at the O2 at the Piazza. It's free entry to the fans. Come on down. They're expecting a massive turnout, and come and witness a weigh-in for what is, I keep calling it the fight of the decade. I don't know another fight this decade that was bigger. Someone said to me, how can you call it a fight? Show me a fight this decade that's bigger. I think we could have sold 60,000 tickets, but if you've got a ticket for Saturday, you're very, very lucky. And join us for the weigh-in and buy it on Box Office. It's going to be a great fight.
Eddie Hearn, thank you very much. Cheers. Thanks a lot.